Good evening and happy National Weather Person's Day from FSU Weather. I'm student meteorologist Shane Pendleton.
And I'm Daniel McFarland. We still have National Weather Awareness Week, don't we, Shane?
Yes, we do, and today's topic is hurricanes and flooding, which Florida is prone to, but thankfully we haven't seen a major hurricane in about a decade.
Exactly, but we still have hurricane season every June to the end of November, so we still need to keep an eye out every year.
Oh yeah, that's right. Just because we've had a few quiet seasons doesn't mean that next year won't be the one where we get another dangerous system.
Yeah, I know, Shane. I know you remember 2004 really came out of nowhere, and then after that 2005 was almost just as bad.
Yep. Charlie and Francis and Jean hammered the Florida coast, and I'm sure that most of our viewers and residents do remember the effects of those hurricanes.
Absolutely. So, what do you get with a hurricane when it comes on through? How should we prepare ourselves for when it does come our way?
Well, one of the most dangerous effects a hurricane can bring, especially inland in Florida, is tornadoes, which one usually thinks of as a separate kind of severe weather, but they are very dangerous, along with thunderstorms and lightning and flooding.
So it really is like Big Daddy natural disasters. It has everything in it, doesn't it?
It does. One of the most dangerous concerns for residents of Florida is flooding, so make sure to be prepared for that. Moving to higher ground and being aware of storm surge and all those sorts of concerns.
Yeah, and always make sure to pack up water and food for you, but if you can, make sure to evacuate for that. Right now, we're going to send it out for an overview with John.
Yeah, it's been a warm day today. We are still sitting here at 65 degrees. It's been clear conditions today. And the dew point has been on the dry side this afternoon. Only a dew point here of 40 degrees here, but these northwesterly winds have been on the breezy side today. Those winds will be calming down during the overnight and evening hours tonight, but this is all the rain that just about everybody here in Florida had today. Just about an inch of rain here just to bring those rainfall totals up this afternoon. About an inch and a quarter here in Jacksonville. And that's been the story basically all the way down through the state of Florida today. Those clouds are finally starting to push out of their area now, and that rain is actually gone. What the radar here today has been lagging, but the clouds are just about entirely out of the area. Clouds just remaining in Miami for today. Looking through the next part of the week, we're looking into the 70s. We're going to take it back to the desk to look at all sorts of weather review here in the Big Bend.
Yeah, that's a big mystery. We'll find out what the temperatures will be like later on. But first, we'll talk about what happened today, right, Shane?
Yep, today was kind of the polar opposite of yesterday, where it was cloudy and it rained almost literally all day long.
I know when I woke up this morning, I expected it to be a lot colder. I put on jeans, I put on a sweatshirt. I walked outside and I was like, oh man, it's a lot warmer than I thought it'd be. It's like high 50s and crawling into the 60s. It's really nice, but I'm overdressed now.
Yep, the clouds hang around with us all night, and that kept the temperature from getting too cold outside. But then they lifted by mid-morning, leaving us with a bright, sunny, clear day. Some of the satellite imagery we have for you later shows no clouds on the satellite at all.
Yeah, and that's really nice. And it was also awesome that it was just so nice today. But who knows what will happen tomorrow? Maybe the temperatures will go up. Hopefully they'll stay this way. You know, I'd really prefer that.
Yep, now it's time for you to give us a local forecast so we can find out exactly what is going to happen.
That's right. We're going to take a look around local and find out exactly what's going on. As you can see, there's a 6-day temperature trend that John was just showing us, and we are going to go ahead and look at our current conditions. We're having 65 right now in Tallahassee. Clear sky. You see the humidity is relatively low because we just had that front pass us through, so we're all good. A little windy, though, at 13, but we're going to go ahead and look at our current temperatures. Like I said, 65 here in Tallahassee. Really, that's a story all around our area. You see mid-60s all the way from Apalachicola up to Thomasville and Valdosta. Nothing in the 50s, nothing in the 70s, so everywhere is having really nice conditions right now. 24-hour temperature change, well, it looks like this graphic broke, but you can see it's mostly red. So we had we have plus 13, I know, here in Tallahassee, 12 in Quincy, I remember that one also. So this is really nice because, you know, yesterday we did see those temperatures a little bit lower. Well, satellite and radar, if we pull this up and take a look, this is yesterday. We had all those storms move out of the way, and now, as Shane and I told you earlier, we have real clear skies, just awesome day, and we'll be expecting that tomorrow as well. So that's real good news there. Well, this is what we can expect over today and into the weekend. You can see Friday at 5 a.m. we're expecting those high pressure hanging right over us, giving us sunshine. It's going to come and just hang out for just a few days, see clear conditions into Saturday, also just in time for the baseball game. More on that later. And as we get into tonight's forecast, we're going to have a low of 34, which is real surprising because you saw that we were in the 60s today. So It might be 34, but you probably should still think about covering up your plants and your pool pumps and other stuff like that. Not getting to freezing, which you can never know for sure. You see, if you do go out, make sure to bring a jacket. That's also really big there. Tomorrow's forecast, it's going to be a little bit chillier than it was yesterday. The wind will be gone. You see 60 degrees, still sunny skies, lots of sunshine. But like you see there, cold start, so probably expect in the 40s around the morning time, unfortunately for us. Well, real quick boating forecast. The winds are a little strong out there, east, 10 knots right now. Waves 1 to 2 feet, but overall, really great day to go on a boat. For once, over the past months, you've seen it's been kind of miserable for that. Not a whole lot of fun there. So make sure you get out there by 6, because that's when we expect the sunset. We are still in winter, so the days are a lot shorter. Well, looking at your 3-day, we got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all about the same. You see the temperatures scooching on up into Sunday when we hit 71, and there's a small chance of rain again on Monday. And you see that's really about it. That's the only bad spot we have. And you see Tuesday and into Wednesday still in the 60s. And we're relatively consistent for the next few days. But right now we're going to go ahead and spread it on out with Paxton, who's going to tell us about the southeast.
Thank you, Daniel. Water vapor is showing that we do have some dry air in the Orlando area, and the moist air is ahead of the dry air, which is where the cold front is right now, but we don't have to worry about that right now. And if you do go outside, you could definitely feel the difference between today and yesterday, where yesterday was full of moisture, humidity, the rain, and today it's nice and dry. It was cloud free in the mid-afternoon, and then currently 64 in Tallahassee, 58 New Orleans, and then the warm spots are in South Florida. Like always, beautiful weather down there in Miami. And again, 64 in Tallahassee, lots of sunshine today, beautiful for being outside. Dew points are kind of nice and dry for us in Tallahassee, but you can see that in north of Tallahassee, in northern Georgia, Alabama, they have very low dew points, 11 and 2 below. You could definitely see where the next front is. The dry air is quite intense with this next system coming through. And for the current wind speeds, 15 in Tallahassee. It's picking up a little bit. It's breezy. It was breezy this morning as well, but you do have high winds along the front as well, pushing through, bringing in some clouds again. Futurecast is showing that you could definitely see the front pushing on through into the Atlantic, and all the rain, it is clearing up in our area, and the rain was just going to be staying offshore for the next couple of days. So it's going to be a nice dry weekend for us, and nice dry next couple of days in our area as well. For tonight in Tallahassee, it's 34. What Daniel was saying earlier is we're not at freezing technically, but just make sure you do bring your jackets with you, your scarves, because it is going to be a little chilly out there. And then for tomorrow, 60 in Tallahassee, just a little bit cooler tomorrow as compared to today, but that sunshine will be sticking around. And then again, sunshine along Florida, except for Miami and Key West, where we do have a little bit of lingering clouds due to the passage of the cold front. But basically, we have suns in this whole area, and again, that is due to the dry air, so clouds are not forming, and we will be nice and warm for us in this area. But right now, we're just going to hand this on over to the desk with Shane and Daniel.
Thank you so much, Paxton. Wow, I'm jealous of those Miami and Key West people having temperatures in the 70s. But at least we're not the people in the Northeast who have been hammered with snow over the past few days, haven't they?
Yeah, it seems like the Northeast never gets a break from the snowstorms, and the bad news is there's another one on the way.
Really? Is that going to be the same system that'll be coming up and hitting us on Monday, or is that completely separate from what we're going to be seeing?
Now, this is a result of an extreme southern dip in the jet stream that will be responsible for some chillier temperatures down here in Florida. But in the Northeast, they're going to start off with a band of snow from Minneapolis over to Michigan as early as this weekend.
I know I heard about Buffalo being just absolutely covered in snow all season. It sounds like they're going to get even more with this storm, aren't they?
Oh yeah, the Boston region, especially eastern Massachusetts, has been buried under snow, and they're going to receive the heaviest brunt of this, up to a foot of additional powder in the Boston metro region.
And I definitely feel bad for them, but for right now, we're going to send it on out to John.
Yeah, you talked about that cold air and the snow. And that cool air is still lingering across the northeastern part of the country, even down into the Dallas area. A little bit of cold air draining down there near freezing in Dallas. So far here in Tallahassee, we're sitting at 64 degrees around the area. And there's been 2 storms marching across the country, and we're kind of in a little bit of a lull now with high pressure across the mid part of the country here. Storm number 1 moving off the east coast here, just inflicting some clouds there across South Florida. Storm number 2, a lot more cloudiness across the northwestern part of the country. This is actually going to bring in some flooding rains across the northern tier of California. Lake effect snow kind of pittering out here across the lakes here. Some lake effect snow still lingering around the Finger Lakes of upstate New York. That snow has ended across most of Massachusetts except for Cape Cod here. And as you head down the east coast, you can see just a couple of showers just now leaving Key West. US 1 there starting to dry out as well. Just a few clouds lingering around Miami for right now. But that's not before there was a little bit of damage reported down in South Florida. This is just east of I-95 here, right around the FAU area. There was a EF1 tornado just north and west of Boca Raton. And there's actually some wind damage associated with this as well. This is a tree down on what looks to be a patio that coming in from Thomas Forrester there. And this is kind of widespread across the Boca Raton area. And even up towards West Palm Beach, they had some damage there. Again, right around the Florida Atlantic University area. Heading off towards that second storm, though, look at all this rainfall coming into Seattle and all the way down into California. And they're actually worried about some flooding rainfall, which isn't something they're used to. This is the wet season in California, though. We actually have 2 systems lurking off the coast here. Here's number 1. This is going to go up into southeast Canada. Here's storm number 2, and this is going to come into the western Washington and Oregon coasts around Portland on the day tomorrow. And that's actually spreading in some snow upwards to Kamloops and Vancouver. And that is bringing in quite a bit of interesting weather for them. Breezy conditions here. This is a high wind warning here for the valleys along the Nevada border here. Those winds 50 to 70 miles an hour. Everything here in green, they're actually worried about some flooding there in that area from Eureka over towards almost near Carson City up against the Sierra Nevadas here. That's upwards of 10 inches in some spots right along the coast, 5 inches in many other spots all the way down into the Bay Area. This is another interesting advisory here. This is actually a freezing rain advisory. If you're watching on that last satellite loop, all of the snow is up in Canada, rain down in the U.S., and in between we have this freezing rain advisory. This is for icing, upwards of 1/10 of an inch just south of the Canadian border, with all this cool air starting to pull into the country now. And warm air will be rebounding as we get into the weekend. 60s and 70s in Texas. That's coming in east over the next couple of days. Going to be a fantastic weekend here in the Big Bend, and here's more to talk about that local weather. Here's Ian.
Yeah, we had some great weather today. It was rather warm. I sure appreciate it because it had been a little too cold for my taste yesterday, but currently outside 64 degrees, so on the warmer side. We got to see that sun today with a dew point of 40 and a humidity of 41%. Really was a perfect day. Couldn't really ask for much more, especially after that rain and clouds that we had yesterday. Most people were pretty sick of it pretty fast. Around the Big Bend, we can see temperatures are rather on the mild side. You have 64 here in Tallahassee, you have 62 in Monticello, 64 in Perry, 60 in Valdosta. So pretty warm conditions for this time of the year, but overnight, without those clouds, these temperatures are going to definitely start to dip, so this will fall off pretty fast. 24-hour temperature chain, this graphic is not working right now, but if it was, it would show that the temperatures from yesterday have increased from upwards from 10 to 15 degrees. So very warm temperature difference between yesterday and today. Once those clouds moved out, we got that sun in to warm things up here. So this graphic is not correct, but it was a very warm day, and I'm sure most of you noticed that. Winds show it was also a windy day as well. 15 miles per hour in Tallahassee. You have 13 Mariana, we have 14 Bainbridge, 12 down Apalachicola. So it was a very windy day, but it wasn't too uncomfortable with that sun out there warming us up. Satellite and radar shows really nothing to speak of. It's a very sunny and bright day. I sure appreciate it, and I'm sure you did too. We had all that sun out to keep us warm and comfortable for a great day. Now, as we move on into the water vapor map, you can see that dry air that is out ahead of us and really settling for much of the southeast behind this cold front that moved on through. I'll step over here on the side so you can see a cold front. All this green is all the moisture associated with that, and all this brown kind of reddish color, that's all that dry air. So relatively dry air settling behind this cold front, and really it's going to tell the story for the next few days as a high pressure system builds itself in this weekend. So great weather is coming up for us here. Futurecast shows that temperatures will start to dip overnight. You can see tonight 51 degrees already at 7 o'clock, so that as soon as that sun starts to go down, it's going to really dip down. Rest of Florida sees temperatures dropping down, and here in Tallahassee, it's going to be a frigid 30 degrees, so it's going to be rather cold up in the northern part of Florida near the Panhandle as that sun goes down. No clouds to really keep that heat contained overnight. As we look into tomorrow, temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler off as they were yesterday, or today rather, but they're still going to be on the comfortable side. 56 in Tallahassee, we have 56 in Pensacola, warmer down in the southern Florida region, but rather warm conditions. And yet again, overnight, it's going to cool off as you see 31 in Tallahassee and 43 in Tampa. So cool conditions overnight, warmer during the day with all that sun that we're going to be seeing. That's really the story, what you're going to see. And you can see Saturday, it's going to be 54 once again. So rather on the warm side during the day. Tonight's forecast, like I said, was going to be very cold, so you can expect cold temperatures overnight, and that is really going to tell the story. Into tomorrow, it's going to be warmer as we have that sun out once again. And moving on to that 5-day forecast, you can see those temperatures are warm, and on Monday, we may have another cold front pushing on through, but for the most part, those warm temperatures are going to stick around. Now, at the desk, you guys have something to talk about pollution, right?
We sure do. And the pollution that is coming off from China is actually affecting the weather in the West Coast.
It is, and this is done by a study from NASA and Caltech, and basically they're just looking at the winds from the jet stream and seeing how it is coming basically from China right on over to the United States, and with that wind is coming pollution.
Yes, and it's due to, like you're saying, the smog from the coal plants that are going on in China, and the smog is creating these air particles which the clouds can form on, and we call those cloud condensation nuclei. And it's just creating a lot more clouds in the western Pacific, and then that's just moving on over into the West Coast.
Right, so basically what's happening in China is affecting our weather, which is pretty crazy to think about.
I think it really is. It's just something on the opposite side of the world. It's affecting things on this side of the world. But right now, we're just going to hand this on over to Shane.
Hey, thanks. And the story for Florida today really is that the front moved all the way across the peninsula and is getting out of our hair right now. I'm going to step over to the west side of the screen so we can see this front get out of here. As the satellite and radar come into alignment, we see that that front shifted from Orlando down to Miami and is currently crossing off of the peninsula right now. And I'm going to help everyone find it on a few of the graphics that we've got ahead. But let's take a look at the temperatures right now. A combination of clouds and moisture kept temperatures pretty cool across Florida, especially right now as the sun is setting. We've got 64 right now in Tallahassee, 62 in Jacksonville, a little warmer, 72 down there in Miami, where they're still feeling a bit of the moisture that we can find on the dew point map right now. It's dry here in Tallahassee. Notice the yellows and browns. That indicates drier air, and moist down towards the south. 65 degrees is the dew point in Miami, which is very close to their current temperature and indicating all that humidity that they're coping with right now as the rainfall gets out of here. So our first graphic for Find the Front is the winds map. Winds are coming out of the north in Tallahassee at 15 miles per hour, and then check out down here in South Florida, they shift and come out of the west. 8 miles per hour there in Miami, and that's because they're bending around the cold front that we can find lined up across the Florida peninsula, moving off to the northeast. It's even more sharply visible on the water vapor imagery here. These vibrant shades of orange from Fort Myers to West Palm Beach indicate the drier air, and all those greens moving off into the Atlantic right now, that's all the moisture that soaked us yesterday, finally getting out of Miami's hair, and they're glad to see it go. It's leaving clear skies, but cooler temperatures in its wake. Like we've been saying throughout the show, the clouds trap the warmth down by the ground, and now that they're out of here, there's nothing to keep it around. It's going to get chilly tonight. The Futurecast shows temperatures dipping down into the lower 30s, maybe even flirting with the 29-degree mark, just to show you how cold this is. We mean business with these chilly temperatures. But Miami is going to stay warm as the moisture remains around and the clouds hesitate to get out of the region there. And then once that's out of the way, it's going to be a gorgeous sunny day tomorrow, warming up to 56 degrees in the capital, hanging on to the 70s down there in South Florida as they finally clear out as well. And then we're going to have another chilly night dipping down back into the 30s for North Florida. 40s for Central Florida and flirting with the 70s again for South Florida. And then getting into the weekend, we're getting even warmer for some really beautiful days of sunshine and 60s, going up to 75 degrees in Miami there. It's just going to be beautiful. But for a few specific numbers, it's going to get down to 34 degrees tonight in Tallahassee, 60 degrees there in Miami, and warm up to 60 degrees here in Tallahassee and 74 degrees in Miami. But for a slightly chillier story, here's Allie with the winter weather.
Thank you, Shane. We are going to take a look at our winter weather update, see what the snow is around the country. And we're going to start with our satellite and radar. So this is the system that we have been talking about that just is passing us past our coast. Gave Florida a little bit of rain, but of course it brought that blizzard and that snow up towards the northeast. And then we'll switch our view to the other side of the country, and this is our next weather maker that is going to creep on into the United States and bringing a little bit of snow over there. Our current temperatures, though, you can see this drastic line of blue right here, kind of separating the cold air from the warm air. So towards the south, they are feeling nice and warm, but up towards the north, they are still pretty chilly. They're at 20 degrees there in Boston, 30 in D.C., 40 over there in Detroit, or 14 over there in Detroit. So they're feeling fairly cold, which is why they are the ones still covered with snow. And you can see by this color that the lighter colors are the light snow, and then up there towards the northeast, that's where you see those pink colors because of all that snow, heavy snow that they had from the blizzard. And we will zoom in a little bit just to see, that is the snow from the blizzard over in Cape Cod. That's where they are still having a little bit of snow as of right now, but that is pushing off, and in the next couple of days they will start to warm up. But looking at our current snow cover, they're at 22 in Bangor and 15 in Burlington, so they are still way, way, way deep in snow, at least for me. I can't even imagine having 22 inches of snow. That is almost 2 feet. That would come up to my knees. So that is pretty crazy for them. 15 over in Burlington and 12 inches down there in Albany. So that is still plenty of snow, but as the rest of the country starts to warm up, they will as well, and that will start to melt, giving them just a little bit of relief before the lake effect snow machine starts up again. So they still are feeling the snow, but looking all the way to the other side of the country. This is our next system coming on in, and for right now, this is just rain in the United States. All that snow is sticking up there in Canada. In fact, you can almost see the line kind of dividing the two. But Friday and into Saturday, the United States will start to see some of that snow as those temperatures drop. And we will move on to look at our snowfall. This is a futurecast of the snowfall, so we will start to see how that will start to affect the United States. And for now, we're just predicting around 2 to 4 inches for most of these regions, but in the mountains, it could get up to 10. So of course, those will be a little bit colder, giving them just slightly more snow. For tonight's temperatures, though, still fairly cool up in the northeast, but for the rest of the country, not as bad. 18 over there in Washington, D.C. Still very cold up north. And then tomorrow's forecast, again, you can see that drastic line of temperatures still keeping it cool, but that sun is going to come out to warm it up just a little bit. So they are still feeling the snow up there in the northeast. And speaking of snow, we're going to start to talk about a crazy snowstorm that happened this day in history a couple years ago.
We sure are, and this snowstorm actually occurred in Texas. So, I mean, Texas.
I know, of all places. In 1964, it was Texas, and they had a huge snowstorm.
They had 26 inches in a span of 3 days in Boulder, Texas. So that's a little over 2 feet, so that's like up to our waist. So we'd just be half our bodies sticking out, you know. Yeah,
and I mean, that even collapsed buildings, which is fairly crazy because, you know, you think that buildings should be able to withstand some weather.
I know. And also, on highways north of Amarillo, Texas, they were actually closed down for 3 days, which was probably a big problem for traffic and people trying to get in and out of those areas.
Yeah, well, that was a lot of snow for them, but no snow for us, and we are going to send it back out to the wall.
That's right, guys. We don't have any snow here, but these temperatures, well, they're not really favoring any snow either. We were very comfortable today here in the Tallahassee area. 65 degrees is what we saw, and the sun made its triumphant return to the Big Bend today, which was very nice to see indeed. But one thing I want to point out, the reason why we have this here is look at that record low back in 2009 at 14 degrees. Now that was definitely a cold morning, and it wasn't too many years ago either, but today we woke up at 49 degrees and a couple of sprinkles as that cold front started to push on through. But current temperatures as you're walking on outside around the Big Bend, really looking very uniform here. 60s all around the area, 64 here locally in the capital city. But as we take a look at that satellite, or current sky condition rather, we have suns all across the board here. Down the peninsula a little bit is where we're seeing the cloud cover associated with the front and the system that moved through here, but suns all around the southeast and the Big Bend area as well. So let's take a look at that satellite and radar, because this is where the story starts to unfold, or at least the story that we already read over the last couple days. And that front just moved on down the state and brought quite a bit of severe weather down in South Florida. We did have reports of an EF1 tornado in Boca Raton, Florida. John talked about that a little bit earlier, but that has since moved on down the state and left us with perfectly clear sunshine. Now here's an interesting graphic we like to show here on the show, because this is our futurecast for winds and temperatures. See these wind arrows? The longer they are, the higher the winds, and then those blues start to sink on into our area. That's down into the 40s and the 30s. That's that cold, bitter air. And as that wind starts to shift from the northeast, those arrows get a little bit smaller, so the winds start to die down. And one of the areas I'd like to pull your attention to is we're sitting at Friday afternoon here, so as you're starting to end your classes, the winds are pretty variable, not too much out of the north. And then as we push on into the overnight hours on Saturday, when we really start to see that cold air push in, once again, those winds really start to die down. So the wind chill won't be as huge of a factor moving on into Saturday. And look at this. See those arrows? They're gone. The winds are going to be relatively calm this weekend as those temperatures start to rise once again. But as we push on into tonight, here around the Big Bend, 34 degrees is what I'm calling for here, so grab those jackets. You're going to need them again. We might hit freezing in some portions of the Big Bend as well. And then tomorrow we're going to be hitting 60, so rebounding nicely. A great day to get on outside and study out on Landis Green, or just be outside in general. On the sand, it's going to be great as well. That UV index is going to be a little bit high, so definitely have that sunscreen ready. Baseball fan day here in Tallahassee as well, so head on out there Saturday at 11 a.m. And as we look on into the 7-day forecast, it is looking like a beautiful one here across the Big Bend region. Really going to be great. And as we finish off the show, let's send it back to the desk.
Yeah, we're going to start talking about the weekend. It's Thursday. I don't have class on Friday, so weekend plans.
I don't even have class Friday either, but, you know, with meteorology as your major, you end up coming to school anyway, doing homework and labs. It's like, we don't have a life.
You're right. But if we can manage to take a break, we do have a baseball game, and that is on Saturday at 11. At 11, there's a meet and greet, so that would be fun.
That is fun. And then at 3 p.m. is the actual game. But taking a look at our 7-day forecast, you can see all the little suns that are just in our area, except for Monday when we had that little 30% chance. But otherwise, not too shabby.
Yeah, those temperatures are looking good to me in the 70s. I will take that.
Yeah.
Even those lows are not too bad compared to what we've seen the last couple of days. It's going to be fairly comfortable for this next week.
You are so right. And then if you like us, then you can like us on Facebook.com, you can follow us on Twitter, and you could even watch us anytime on YouTube. If you're 2 in the morning and you want to watch weather, just watch us.
Definitely. Thank you for tuning in tonight.
Yes, and I thought it was a fun night, but I'm student meteorologist Paxton Fell.
And I'm student meteorologist Allie Brannan.
Hope you have a good night and watch us again tomorrow.